Join us as we explore the historical journey that led to the creation of the Indian Constitution, a document that has shaped the world's largest democracy. From the shadow of colonial rule to the dawn of independence, we will trace the remarkable events and the visionary individuals who shaped this pivotal document. This is the story of India's Constitution, a testament to the enduring power of democracy and the enduring spirit of a nation. For nearly 2 centuries, India bore the weight of British colonial rule, a period known as the British Raj. The British East India Company, initially merchants seeking trade, gradually expanded their control, transforming into a formidable force that dictated the political and economic landscape of the subcontinent. The impact of British rule was profound and far-reaching. While British rule brought about advancements in infrastructure and education, it also led to the exploitation of resources, the suppression of local industries, and the erosion of traditional power structures. The inequities inherent in the colonial system, coupled with the suppression of Indian voices in matters of governance, fueled a burgeoning nationalist sentiment. The desire for Swaraj, or self-rule, became the rallying cry for a nascent movement that would challenge the very foundations of British authority. Sharp tone, the seeds of discontent were sown deep, and the call for independence grew louder with each passing day. In the winter of 1885, a pivotal chapter in India's journey towards independence began with the formation of the Indian National Congress. Founded by a group of educated Indians, including prominent figures like Dadabhai Naoroji and Alan Octavian Hume, the Congress provided a platform for educated Indians to voice their concerns and aspirations. Initially envisioned as a forum for dialogue and petitioning the British government for greater representation, the Congress gradually evolved into a powerful force for political awakening. Through its annual sessions held across the subcontinent, the Congress served as a unifying force, bringing together leaders from different regions, religions, and linguistic backgrounds. The Congress advocated for greater Indian participation in governance, demanding reforms that would grant Indians more control over their own affairs. Its message of self-determination resonated with millions of Indians who yearned for a nation free from foreign rule. The year 1919 marked a significant milestone in India's journey towards self-governance with the enactment of the Government of India Act. This landmark legislation, passed by the British Parliament, aimed to introduce limited self-rule in India, albeit under continued British supervision. The Act introduced a system known as dyarchy, a dual system of governance where certain administrative responsibilities were transferred to elected Indian ministers. Under dyarchy, provincial governments were granted control over areas like education, healthcare, and local self-government. However, the Act fell short of fulfilling the aspirations of many Indians. Despite its limitations, the Government of India Act 1919 was a significant step in India's political evolution. Chapter 4: A Wartime Promise. The Cripps Mission. As World War II raged across the globe, casting a long shadow over the world, India found itself at a crossroads. In 1942, Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the British War Cabinet, arrived in India with a momentous proposal. The Cripps mission proposed the establishment of a dominion status for India after the war, granting it a degree of self-governance within the British Commonwealth. However, the Cripps mission ultimately failed to appease the aspirations of Indian leaders. The failure of the Cripps mission proved to be a turning point in the Indian independence movement. Chapter 5: A Nation Defiant. The Quit India Movement. The year 1942 witnessed one of the most significant upheavals in India's struggle for independence: the Quit India Movement. Launched by the Indian National Congress, this mass movement called for an immediate end to British rule in India. On August 8, 1942, Mahatma Gandhi, the preeminent leader of the Indian independence movement, issued a clarion call to the nation: do or die. The response to Gandhi's call was overwhelming. Despite the crackdown, the movement continued to gather momentum, with underground networks sustaining the spirit of resistance. Chapter 6: The Sun Sets on the Empire. Post-war India and the Path to Partition. As the dust settled on a war-ravaged world in 1945, the landscape of global power had shifted irrevocably. The once mighty British Empire, weakened by the colossal costs of war, faced a new reality: the rising tide of nationalism in its colonies. In India, the demand for independence, fueled by decades of struggle and sacrifice, had reached a fever pitch. The British government, recognizing the untenability of their position and facing mounting pressure both domestically and internationally, made the momentous decision to grant India its independence. However, this decision was not without its complexities, as the issue of partition loomed large. On July 18, 1947, the British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act, marking a pivotal moment in the history of the Indian subcontinent. This landmark legislation paved the way for the end of British rule and the creation of two independent nations, India and Pakistan. The Act stipulated that, on August 15, 1947, British rule in India would come to an end, and two independent dominions would come into existence. The Act also outlined the partition of the country, dividing the provinces of Punjab and Bengal along religious lines. The Indian Independence Act was a testament to the relentless struggle of the Indian people for self-determination. As India awoke to a new dawn of independence, a monumental task lay ahead: the framing of a constitution for the newly born nation. This historic responsibility fell upon the shoulders of the Constituent Assembly, a body formed in 1946 to represent the hopes and aspirations of a diverse and nascent nation. The Constituent Assembly was a microcosm of India itself, comprising representatives elected from across the length and breadth of the country. Over the course of nearly 3 years, the Constituent Assembly engaged in intense deliberations, debating every clause and article of the Constitution. The Assembly's debates were marked by a deep sense of purpose and a commitment to creating a just and equitable society. At the heart of the Constituent Assembly's efforts to draft the Indian Constitution was the Drafting Committee, a 7-member body entrusted with shaping the document that would govern the world's largest democracy. Leading this committee was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Born into a Dalit family, Dr. Ambedkar experienced caste-based discrimination firsthand. His life's work was dedicated to eradicating this social evil and uplifting marginalized sections. Dr. Ambedkar's understanding of law and commitment to social justice made him the ideal leader. Under his guidance, the committee meticulously crafted each article and clause. They balanced competing interests and addressed historical injustices. Dr. Ambedkar's imprint on the Indian Constitution is undeniable. His vision for a just society is reflected in the document's emphasis on equality and fundamental rights. On November 26, 1949, after nearly 3 years of meticulous drafting and intense debates, the Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution of India. This historic moment marked a watershed in India's journey, signaling the birth of a republic and the dawn of a new era for its people. The Constitution, a voluminous document with 395 articles and 8 schedules, enshrined the values of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, reflecting the aspirations of a nation yearning for a brighter future. The Constitution came into effect on January 26, 1950, a date etched in golden letters in the annals of Indian history. This day, celebrated annually as Republic Day, marks the day when India shed the vestiges of its colonial past and embraced a democratic future. The Indian Constitution, born out of struggle and shaped by visionary leaders, stands as a testament to democracy and a just society. At its heart lies the commitment to safeguarding fundamental rights. These rights guarantee freedoms essential for dignity and liberty. The right to equality, freedom of speech, religion, and constitutional remedies are cornerstones. The Constitution adopts a quasi-federal structure, dividing powers between the central government and the states. Understanding the historical context of the Indian Constitution helps us appreciate its significance in shaping modern India. It is a document that embodies the hopes and aspirations of a nation emerging from the shadows of colonialism, determined to chart its own course. The journey to create the Indian Constitution was arduous, marked by intense debates, compromises, and a shared vision for a better future. As we reflect on the legacy of India's Constitution, let us remember the sacrifices made by those who fought for our freedom and the visionaries who crafted this remarkable document.